And it's just as easy as fish it in there and drop it in the hole. Drop it in the hole like that. I'll just throw the belt on just because I can. Then I can reach in from underneath and get this thing situated right where it needs to be, or just do that. And it's set and ready to go. That quick and easy. How about that? That didn't suck, did it? Now I've got to go get the Antiseize and get ready to put these bolts back in. So, hang on. Alright, we're back under the tractor. We've got our Antiseize here and our 4 bolts. I'm just going to run some Antiseize on each one of these bolts. I'll show you here in just a second. This Antiseize has to be mixed up because it tends to solidify. Or separate rather, not solidify. But it's still perfectly fine. I'll show you guys here in just a second. See? Good stuff. So, put just a little bit on there, run our bolts in. Come on. Find it. Find it. Find it. There we go. I'm going to lather, rinse, repeat that. Get them bolted down. Then we'll move on to the next task. Alright, now it's time to drill and tap our holes. Got the exhaust port covered up. Drill and tap our holes for the next size up bolt, which is a 3/8. Is that right? I think. Pretty sure. Let me look again. Yes. 3/8 16 national course. And I know that because right over here I have my huge tap and drill chart just so that I can see it. But yeah, a 3/8 equates to a 5/16 drill bit. So I've got my 5/16 drill bit in my drill right there, and we're going to drill those holes out. And then I've got 2 taps. And the reason I've got 2 taps is if you look, this one has a taper and this one has just barely a taper. I've always called these bottoming taps. I know there's other names for them out there, but I call those bottoming taps. I'm going to start the threads with this and come back in after to get those threads as deep as I can into those blind holes. Now this hole over here is not blind, but this one on the left is. So I could theoretically just keep running this one through until it comes all the way through, as long as I don't hit anything on the other side. But that's what we're going to do now. We're going to drill those holes out and get ready to tap to our heart's content and get this exhaust muffler manifold to where it'll hang on. That's probably going to grab on me a time or two. Wasn't too bad. Nice clean hole. I'm going to drill this side. There we go. Just that easy. It's nice working on aluminum. And I've got my air hose here. You guys, cover your eyes. I'm going to blow the chips out here. Alright. Anybody get anything in their eye? I hope not. So now we're going to run the taps in. And like I say, I'm using 2 different taps for good reason. Get the first one in and started. We'll just go on this side. Make sure you keep that tap as square as you can, but that's a nice thing about having a tap like this, is it helps guide it in. Now if I had this head off and over on the mill, I have a centering location on the back of my T-handle for my taps that I could use. But I'm just going to be real careful. And I'm also going to make sure that I've got some tap and die lube in both of these. Now some people, that you can load the flutes up on this with grease, or you can do what I'm doing and then just make sure in the end that you have got every last chip out of there. Well, that one's starting in real nice. So I'm going to get it in just maybe 1.5, 2 good solid turns, and then I'll back it back off. And the reason you back it back off is to break the chip. Okay? I'm having a hard time getting it centered. There we go. Alright. She's going now. Now I've got it in a little bit, and we'll come back, and you're just breaking the chip off so that you're not pushing the chip all the way around as you're tapping. So go a little ways, come back and break that chip. Go a little ways, come back and break that chip. Whoops, we just lost our lighting. So I'm going to lather, rinse, repeat these, and then we'll be able to put that exhaust manifold muffler on and be golden as far as the exhaust goes. We also, over here where my finger's at, I don't know if you can see it, we have another hole right here that we need to tap out to make sure that we've got a good grab hold on the, I think I'm all the way through. And then what I'll do after I get this out is just switch taps and run that other one all the way through to make sure that I've got everything the way it needs to be. And I'll get the light back on it and let you guys see a little bit. Guys see? Got our threads cut in there. They look good, nice and deep. And looks like I've got threads going all the way through, but I'm still going to run the other tap through there. So I'm going to lather, rinse, repeat on the other side. Then I'm not going to worry about power washing this, and we're just going to pop the valve cover off, take it over to the parts washer, get it all cleaned up, make sure that the valve cover sits level with a level surface. If not, we'll tap on it and get it straightened out. And then by suggestion, got a little bit of black RTV that we'll use around the bottom of this to make sure that it seals good. I don't like using RTV on gaskets, but in this case I get it. I understand the reasoning behind it. So I'm not sure what part this is, but I'll be right back with you guys as soon as I get that valve, start getting that valve cover off. Alright gang, I've got all the bolts out of the valve cover. We're just going to get in there with a gasket scraper and pretty loose. Get the vent tube out of there. See how we're doing up here. We loose up here. Waka 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 waka. Looks like we're in good shape. Yeah, take a look at this gasket. Down here is where the gasket failed. Right here. Hard as a rock. So we're going to get that gasket off, get this all cleaned out, but here's that weird configuration with 2 cams. 1 cam for the intake, 1 cam for the exhaust. Isn't that wild looking? Anyway, let's get that cleaned up. What do you say? I'm all for it. I'll give you guys a little tip if you've got a parts washer, how to keep your parts washer relatively clean. Don't just throw those in there. Take a couple minutes, use your gasket scraper, and scrape all that crap off of there first. Time to do the dishes, I think. And I cleaned the gasket off the back too. I didn't finish cleaning the back of it, but I got the majority of it. The mating surface for the gasket. But see, it doesn't take long. You scrape most of the crap off. It doesn't take long to get the rest of it all cleaned off of there. Nothing like a parts washer. They are outstanding. about done on this side. How's that look to you guys? Does that look alright to you? Looks good to me. A little bit here over by the crankcase vent. Now this surface, I'm going to lightly wire wheel with a brass brush just to get everything clean. Then I'll put it on a flat surface and make sure that it's resting flat the way that it needs to. And I can already tell just by looking at it. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this or not. Can you see that this side's raised up, that side's raised up? It's like something got under there. Somebody might have pried under there or something like that. And then also, the toughest bolt to get out of all of them was this one. And you can see how it's kind of mushroomed. So we'll pound that back down flat. It's mushroomed out quite a bit. So we'll get that pounded out flat. We'll clean this surface off and crack the camera back on when we get to that point. Well, as you guys saw, we got the holes tapped for the muffler. We can go ahead and put that on now before we put the valve cover on. It will not be in the way. And we've got two brackets here, as you can see. Bracket here and a bracket here. Well, one of them, the threads were boogered up on, so I went through and just re-tapped those. They mount to the front just below the valve cover. So, I mean, this thing's been leaking a long time. There's burnt on, crusty oil on that thing. But, and I, of course, oversized the holes in the muffler flange as well as the gasket so that everything should fit just fine if I don't keep dropping it. And the bolts that I'm using have lock washers on them, and they are very hard bolts, so fingers crossed they will stay in place and not back out and not blow the muffler gasket. That's the hopes anyway, right? Gotta get these two little bolts out of here. They're in my way. Okay, and let me get, excuse me, let me get a, uh-oh, where is it? There it is. It's hiding on me. You guys are sitting on top of the toolbox. Got to put this stuff together here. We need to tighten. Okay, now I'm going to position it. Gasket's already there. So we can get it positioned and start running those bolts in. Well, of course, my lift hook is in the way. That's awesome. Come on, I don't need much more room, just a little bit. We're gonna fight it, aren't we? My lift hook is just in the way. Oh, we are just about there. I'm gonna call that good. See if we can't get these guys started now. I do need to poke that bolt over just a little bit. It's super kind of cockeyed. We're lined up. We're just about lined up. Don't want to cross thread anything, right? All right. Come on, get on there. All right. Yes, that one is started. And that one is started. Awesome. Okay. Any bind? No, no bind. Get that muffler on there. Get it where it's just about ready to seat. Get this one tightened down to where, oh, it just seated. So that one's seated. Don't over tighten these. And then come back after the engine is run for a little while and attack it again with just a little bit of a torque down after it heat cycles. Now we've got the 2 bolts on the front. I don't know if you guys see me up here or not, but these help keep the muffler stationary, and they're quite important because you don't want the head, just the exhaust port, holding the weight of the head all by itself. So these really help support everything. And again, don't over tighten. You're tightening into aluminum. And yes, we're going old school. I am using a ratchet to put everything in, as to not strip holes that are already weak. There we go. Okay. Now I've got the bolts for the valve cover sitting over in the parts washer, and we'll finish washing those. Then we'll be ready to stick the valve cover on. So we'll do that on the next clip. Hang on. Okay, let's get this party started. I've got this surface all cleaned up, and as per suggestion, and I typically shy away from RTV, but RTV on the valve cover itself. And for anybody who has one of these single cylinder twin cam Kohlers, there's your part number. You can pause it if I pulled it away too quick and you were trying to copy it down. Just carefully set it in place. And we're going to get our bolts started. It would be a 10 millimeter. I thought I already pulled it out. I did. There it is. I knew I already pulled it out. Let's get a couple of these just started by hand-ish. Okay, I'm just going to go all the way around, get all of them on, and then I'm just going to snug them up. And yes, I leveled the valve cover before starting all this, so we should be golden and should be able to get that oil seal that is intended with these things. And we're going old school on tightening these down as well. We definitely do not want to use an impact to tighten them down. Sorry, my fat head's kind of in the way. Alright, a couple more. Left the vent hose out to make it easier to get to this one. It's nice to have it up in the air like this. Of course, it's nose up in the air, but ultimately my motorcycle lift is going to get altered to accommodate garden tractors as well. That'll get them up in the air, the whole thing up in the air, to make things a little easier on me for certain jobs, not all jobs. But Anyway, we're just about to button the engine up. As soon as we get this on, we will set this back down on the ground. I'll go ahead and put the blower housing on, new air filter and all that stuff. And it's been a while. Some of you guys may remember how terrible this thing sounded. It sounded like there was a rod knocking. Well, it was just the... Sorry, wiping off RTV. It sounded like a rod knocking. It was just the engine was loose and banging around. So let me get this finished up, get these tightened down. Just barely past finger tight is fine. Then you can go back and retighten them after that. So let me get all that done, get the engine button back up, we'll start it up, see if it sounds a little better than it did quite some time ago. And that joy belt, I'll tell you what, let's start that real quick. Just real quick, so you can hear this wonderful engine. It's got some issues. Alright, parking brake on, let's get her up to full choke. Let's crank her over. Noise alert. Sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah, what do you guys think that is? Well, it's cold start time. Just got everything buttoned back up on it. Ain't she pretty? All clean. Looks like a new engine. No, I'm not draining the oil yet. I want to give it a cold start and let it run for a little while until it got up to operating temperature, so that when I do change the oil, it'll all come out. Alright. Ready? Let's see how much quieter it is, and then see if we still have that knock. You ready? Lights, camera, action. Here we go. Ha! Well, we've taken care of all the problems. Blades have already been sharpened. Everything's been lubed. I do have to lube the steering yet, but I'll get that done because I got all the grass out of it and just haven't gotten to that point. Now all I need to do is change the oil, put a new oil filter in it. It's got the new air filter in. There's the old one. It's kind of nasty. Yummy. Clean pre-filter out as well. So that just about wraps this one up. It's ready to go back to Kevin and Diana. So, another one taken care of. We still have that gremlin even after checking E-Rock's possibilities. So I'll dig into that later. Next up, Craftsman. We got to clean the carburetor and do a general service on it. So just like general service, it's been done on this one. If you guys like this long series of working on this Troy Bilt / Craftsman / MTD, click right there to subscribe. Here's a random video, and over here's another video. I promise you guys I will definitely be on the next one. Later. I'm out of here.